What's up, everybody? This is Lance. I am the host of the Health and Real Estate Podcast. And today I have an awesome guest. His name is Rick Cunningham, and he is the owner of KW Advisors, which has 19 offices and has a lot of cool ancillary businesses around it. It's a cool platform. Also, we're going to get his opinion on the future of real estate and AI and all that fun stuff. But first, Rick, how'd you get into the real estate industry?
Well, I actually got into real estate right out of the MBA program. So I was like undergrad in landscape architecture, and I always knew that I liked development and things like that. So I always aired on more of both the business side and kind of real estate in general, and thought I'd do more commercial. But to be honest, I really enjoyed residential, and even when I go on vacation, I'm the guy that drives around on vacation and goes to open houses. It's kind of in my DNA, so it's hard to get away from it.
Awesome. So you started with an MBA and got the real estate license through the college and just took the state exam.
Yeah, I had actually gone to back to school and then came back, took my old job back, while getting up and running for about 6 months. So I was that dual career guy that a lot of agents, kind of look down on. The reality is I worked when I say 2 full-time jobs, I worked a full-time job at my job, and I worked a full-time job doing real estate. So I worked just 2 full-time jobs. So it wasn't like, I knew it was gonna take me a while to get up and running, and I went and did it. So I built my book of business, and, once I hit my 5-year mark with my company, I got my, retirement, things like that, and as soon as I could get to that point, then I went full-time just in real estate, and, have never looked back. I started building up, and I always knew I would build a sales team and build a business, and I always looked at it as a business and not just sales.
Hmm.
And so I built that up and added people and knew how to leverage resources and technology through time has really evolved. So
Awesome. So I hear you were one of the first Keller Williams agents in the LA area.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so I was one of the first people that came over and helped to really build, which was at the time the home run launch company, and was the first agent with them, and wasn't and invested in the brokerage and invested in their mortgage and escrow, and it wasn't long after that that one of the partners and I launched off and we went and co-opened another location in Los Feliz. So I jumped from that, and then right behind that opened another office in Santa Monica. So I quickly started building up the brokerage side of the business too,
Hmm.
while still running my team.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're running your real estate team while owning and investing and starting other Keller Williams offices in the LA area.
Correct. Yeah, and I went into areas where I had really no reputation, right? So it wasn't like I knew the agent. So I knew it was open territory, and I went for it, and I just went and built it out. And when eventually when I was asked to go take over Northern California offices, I went up there and I knew nobody. I didn't like the office I opened. I had never even driven through the area before. So, I wasn't afraid of going in there and telling what we could do differently, and how the Keller Williams business model was different and attracted entrepreneurs like myself. Really, the compelling business model was really, really forward thinking at the time. Again, this is a long time ago. And, they had just pulled out this book called the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Book. And I was taken to an event, and I saw that book, and it was literally the guidebook to what a real estate brokerage team should look like. And the compensation models coincided correctly, unlike a traditional brokerage. And therefore, I knew I could maximize my profitability, have a roadmap to quick success, and I don't need to reinvent things. I just applied it and grew, and meanwhile launched in a new direction with the brokerage side.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, I love KW, big fan of it. They're very forward thinking at the time and still are. And so then you were part owner or owner in a couple market centers. So when and how did you grow into like KW Advisors? What was the evolution of?
Well, I changed the name to Advisors specifically because I didn't want to be geographically limited. And when we had COVID happen specifically, um, it's like more real estate was being done outside of your immediate local small area. And 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 the great part about that is by changing the name, it also allowed our agents to. So I always say like use the advisors when it makes sense and use your local location listing presentations, everything when it makes sense. So having people have 2 and 3 listing presentations would make sense so you can be most applicable in the situation that you're in at the moment. And so I also considered myself to say, I don't want to be in business with anyone that can't maintain a high standard of professionalism. And I wasn't afraid to let agents go that didn't want to comply with a high standard. And so, you attract people that maintain that high standard and want to be around that. And I was fearless to, get rid of anybody that wouldn't be part of that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I like that. So KW Advisors, from my understanding, that's like the umbrella company, like the one entity. And then under that, there's 19 book
well, it's
businesses.
really they're all separately owned and operated franchises, and they completely operate with independent books and independent everything. We just with each corporation, actually we file what's called a DBA, doing business as, and we do business as KW Visors, or we do business as, let's say, KW San Francisco or KW Bay Area States, like so I even use multiple names with the because even the any Keller Williams name is still a DBA because the way the franchise works is your corporation can't even have Keller Williams in it. When you build a corporation, we run and just bring our name out under the advisors brand. And the cool part is that allows the consumer to see us as more of a unified image and brand out there, and it's no different from some of the other big players out there that do the same thing, where they're separate corporations but run their DBAs with the same kind of brand look and logo.
Awesome. I love it. So you have under KW Advisors, there's 19 offices. I
It's
know
it's it's
most
even more than advisors. I'm in other ones too that don't even brand under advisors. We've
awesome.
elected that at the moment we're not doing that, and that's fine.
Mhm.
Um, and again, it's kind of like where it makes sense, we do it, and where it didn't make sense, we didn't do it. So the great part is we have flexibility, and this is kind of the cool part with KW too, is I have the ability to make decisions that are smart for the business and good for my agents, and therefore, because the KW model attracts more entrepreneurial people, and again, we believe in the agent is the brand more than the brokerage, but a lot of those agents need the big national brand behind them because they don't have enough experience and things like that, and I provide not only the KW global brand, but the Cato Advisors brand has another whole suite of services and systems and support and consumer direct resources and things above and beyond. So consider it like the a layer of a cake. Like the KW is one thing, but then different offices like advisors operate at a different level. Um, we run much more towards high end, full service, a lot more agent support and consumer resources.
Definitely. And also within it, the platform and ecosystem, you started a bunch of like ancillary real estate businesses. Can you tell us about that?
Sure, and I've always believed in like, I come from a very big family of 13 people. I've always believed in, like there's abundance and you can share and you can still get a lot. And so when I built even my mortgage company, I created a holding company with all my agents to have the same opportunity to be partners with me in that. So I put my own money in, skin in the game, built it, allowed agents to participate, and as long as they're the organization, they can be a partner with me. So I've allowed them to participate in that. And again, when we talk about what the future of real estate's looking like, the consumer wants one thing. They want a seamless process. They want competent people. They want it to just be done and kind of hassle free, and they want to net as much as they possibly can. Um, and that's what they want. So what I've built is kind of a platform-based model where we're monetizing or creating opportunities to do that, where the agent can participate in RESPA compliant ways. And the difference is agents don't realize how much legal risk when they're operating out there, and they're like, hey, maybe I'll get some money from marketing, or I'll do, or from my mortgage broker or whatever. And I'm like, you can't do these things. Like, there's got to be disclosure. There has to be, you can't take the money, can't come in, right? So I had to really protect the organization and the agents, because they don't know what they don't know until they literally potentially lose their license and get themselves in trouble. And there's high risk. And it's not just the DFPI, it's the Department of Insurance, and it's RESPA, and it's all these other things that they don't think about, um, when they're trying to just look at the transaction. So I've tried to create businesses within businesses that allow to monetize through that whole, through the process of the sales process. So maybe pre-funnel, what I call pre-funnel, which is pre-transaction, then transaction, and then post-close and follow-ups. And so we've done a lot of that through some of our other companies.
Awesome. Yeah. So, what are some of those other companies? I know you have the mortgage company, RE Mortgage Advisors.
Yes, RE Mortgage Advisors is the mortgage company, and that's really going well. It took us a while to get it off the ground, but it's the toughest market in history. And while most a lot of these mortgage companies are going out of business, we're 43% year over year increase this last year, and this year we're expecting another 40 to 50% increase. And if the interest rates really come down, we're likely to go up even higher than that. So our volume keeps growing quite rapidly. Um, our technology platform is technology and marketing. It's called Procasa, and I've even opened that up for agents to invest in. In fact, it's currently open right now, um, on a crowdfunding, Reg CF, professional crowdfunding source called, Start Engine. Again, it's Procasa, and we're all over the country right now in a lot of real estate offices, mostly in Keller Williams, but other independents as well, have a suite of different products and services. But really, it's providing marketing, uh, TC services. It's our disclosure reports. It's all these businesses within the business that agents need and things, and the consumer wants. And I want to have more control on it, because at the end of the day, I'm taking liability risk at the broker's level with the agents. And if they're using a company that doesn't have good data resources such as disclosure reports, then we're going to be sued probably more than the disclosure report company, because the consumer looks at us deeper pockets. We suggested the company, whatever their story is going to be, we're going to be sued for it, right? So I also understand that me putting competent partners in place, or businesses we own in place, whatever, is creating it so it's easy, systematic, process based, and good for the consumer, disclosed properly, and that I can rest assured that they're going to get the best product possible that we can deliver. So
Absolutely. I love that. So, is that kind of what you see the future of real estate brokerages doing? Or is this just something you're,
completely. If
yeah?
you look at it, the mortgage companies are coming into real estate, and the lead aggregator, like, everybody is cross mingling between. Again, we have insurance. We have insurance. We have, like, kind of mortgage. The mortgage, and then the escrows. Like, all those pieces of it are separate corporations, but they all have to work together. And when you think about it, if I've got my hand in these different businesses, sometimes I'll hear like, well, isn't an agent on the other side might say, why would I use yours when you own it? And things. I said, think about this for a second. If there's a problem on a transaction, do you think I'm going to help to make that thing go away and write a check, and everybody's going to be happy? The answer is going to be yes, because I can control it, right? And so why would you not want it so that your client on the other side is absolutely taken care of, right?
Hmm. Definitely.
There's a lot of risk, and that also means that mistakes will always be made at some point, right? And the speed at which we can clean up a mistake and own it and just move on is best for everyone. Everyone, right? So I believe and if you look at all the if you look at the top 15 companies out there, everybody's losing money on the brokerage piece, right? The brokerage is almost a negative moving forward. When you listen to gross commission income, I can make more money on a sales team than I can on the brokerage. People say, "Why do you own the brokerage?" Well, the brokerage can support other ancillary businesses and create an ecosystem, so it makes sense. The difference between me and other companies is I've brought my agents where I can, brought them along with me, and creating something where we can participate together in a legally compliant way, where others are the company just owns it and then tries to demand that you use their service and products, right? I'm wanting it to be we versus me. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does
And
make sense.
and I think that when people ask how I've gotten to where I'm at, it's hard work. Very few people will outwork me, and it's because I've always believed in bringing people with me through for the ride for fun, right? Like I don't want to do this by myself. Like I enjoy bringing partners and helping people to build wealth and do it. It's part of my passion and part of a legacy I want to leave.
Definitely. I love that. And I'm all about collaboration over competition. I think I heard a quote. It was like people at the top are collaborating, people at the bottom are competing. So I love that. So any agent that joins one of your offices, one, they get the national brand recognition of Keller Williams and all the perks and benefits and training of Keller Williams. Then they get the benefits of KW advisors or local offices, all the extra stuff they add on top of they get an opportunity to invest in those ancillary businesses such as RE mortgage advisors or Pro Casa or anything else that is in the real estate brokerage ecosystem. So that is huge. You're making your agents they have the opportunity to become partners, not just agents as well.
Yeah, and I think that's why I have really long-standing agent relationships with a lot of people, right? And I think that the people who know me know my vision and what I'm doing and what I'm building it for. And the ones that don't and say I don't want to put more money in Rick's power, like they don't understand what's being built and they don't understand what's available to them, or they're worried about whatever else and they're not really thinking from abundance, and that's unfortunate. They don't see the world the way I see the world. I see the world where I want the best for them. Like, why should we not want the best for each other, for everybody? Like, everybody can succeed. I also believe in transactions. Like, I see agents feel like they've got to beat the other side up and feel like it's got to be a win lose to negotiate. The best negotiators are the ones that make everybody feel like they've got what they want and they think strategically about deal points that one side values higher than the other side, and together it makes a great win for everyone, right? Like that's where good negotiation comes in, and agents that don't understand that are, like think about this. If it's a win-lose situation, you're the loser and you're a buyer in a property where you felt like, God, the seller was horrible and that agent. When there's any problem, the first thing they're going to do is assume that there was lack of disclosure a problem and they litigate.
Yep.
If it was the opposite and they felt like it was a great transaction or everyone was transparent and it was all good, they don't litigate. They problem solve.
Hmm.
So if you're in the business to make a sale or you're in the business for a career, it's about your reputation, about how you treat your co-brokers, how you treat your brokerage, how you work together, how you're collaborative, and how you can still negotiate and be good for your client and good in the transaction. And I think that's oftentimes missed in this environment. And I don't think that enough sales skills and true negotiation and, frankly, effective communication
Hmm.
is not taught at a high enough level.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that's one of Keller Williams' big things, win-win or no deal. So always create a win-win.
Yeah. And it's said first, and I believe in that, right? Like
Hmm.
there's no reason why you can't have a win-win situation where everybody walks away and feels like it was the right deal.
Definitely. So, on the future of you were saying real estate brokerages, you before we started recording, you told me something interesting that you think the future is where 100% model, where agents could keep 100%.
Well,
And
that's what the model I'm working toward, so that anything short of that means more profit. But I think that with the introduction of AI is going to disintermediate a lot. I think there's a lot of big companies out there that think the agent can be completely replaced. I and the group that I'm in, which is called the Four Future of Real Estate. It's a small room of the very biggest operators in the country, mostly Keller Williams, but a few independent brokerages. We're doing best practices, very collaborative. We sell about 6 to 7% of all US homes sold annually, to tell you the size of a very small room. We sell some of the biggest real estate. And together, we're making some really big bets. One of those bets is that the agent will not be disintermediated, but agent will be on the forefront of the transaction. But it's not about the transaction, it's about homes under management. Smaller amount of clients, but clients for life, where you're there as a resource when they want a plumber and they bought the house from you 2 years ago. They want a plumber. You got the resources. You help them through the whole thing. You help them to build wealth through your relationships in the commercial side. Everything I've always talked about with advisors, executed at a very high level with synergy. So platform-based model where when they are in transaction, they run through the whole ecosystem very friendly. I'll give an example of what we're building on the transaction management side, so I think it'll be helpful. If a buyer buys a property and they buy it as Tom and Mary Jones, day one we'll say, "Hey, do you know the benefit of closing in a trust?" We will literally introduce them to a trust attorney right there, that we predetermine the price and the speed at which they'll get to close the transaction in 30 days in a trust. That's good for everyone. Avoids probate. It's good for tax. For a lot of reasons, right? So we're building these kind of systems into our transaction flow. When buyer removes all contingencies, we're going to then say, "Congrats. Here's insurance quotes updated for you. By the way, let's get your moving boxes. Let's get you this. Let's turn your utilities on or off and get all that stuff." We're building that all into our ecosystem. But then when you get to home management, we're gonna know when things like their hot water heater expires. We're gonna be able to tell them to say, "Hey, by the way, your hot water heater is expiring." The agent, because you're a client and you're, paying this monthly fee that your agent probably paid for the first year, we suggest you replace it pretty soon, and here's the model number, and replace it in kind, or would you upgrade to a tankless? And then through our whole ecosystem, we would buy the tankless hot water heater. We would know when it would be delivered. The install would happen right through our platform, and it would happen, and then a review. And the review also, if the vendor that did the install doesn't maintain high reviews, they're off our vendor platform. And so all this thing is being monetized, and it's also a revenue share with agents and with the Procasa technology platform. And think about this. Think about, the home gets inspected regularly, and there's a maintenance check, just like think about a car. If you had a maintenance program on your house, and you got a list of 20 items, you fix 17 of them, we give you a home rating. That home rating now constitutes the ability to get a discount on insurance, because what insurance company would not want to maintain, or would a homeowner to maintain a house? Think about Allstate good driver discount. Think about that from home maintenance. And then think about when you go to sell the house, we have every single document of every repair in 10 years. And then that becomes your disclosure package of transparency. And we believe it'll get a 4% higher on average sale price, because I would pay more for a house I knew was well maintained and always kept good standing records. Like all these things are good all the way through. It is the consumer with the agent really critically in every part of this. And then we would send even the agent say, hey, this is happening. Here's 5 scripts to call the client to say something about this, or give them a recommendation. Hey, it's this time of year, it's about to rain in your area. We know the weather app. And why don't you tell them they should check their gutters because it's going to rain next week? We're giving agents information in real time that are benefit to their own clients. Make sense? So this is
Yeah.
where the whole thing benefits each other. It's the agent, it's the brokerage, it's all the vendors that would do the servicing, and it's the technology managing all those pieces of it. And then when they go back to selling, we pull the agent right back in, and it's a warm lead, right? So that's the essence of the ecosystem that we built.
Wow. Yeah, I see that being very, very powerful. So it's an AI powered ecosystem that helps the agent, the vendors, the homeowners, and it's helps with the transaction and the home management. And I love what you said how it records all the home repair or the home maintenance, and if it's highly maintained and you get cheaper insurance, like that is that's next level thinking. Do you have any
Well,
other
that also
examples like
it
that?
also gives you the ability to, like, if you go out to the go out and you get paint and whatever, you could upload that all those receipts, and then every January we send it to their for their bookkeeping, categorize on the right areas where they have the ability to do that. So when it comes to capital gains, they also have a complete list of the entire history of all improvements in one repository. So it's good for accounting and tax preservation. It's good for maintaining a home and everything there for very low cost. And again, the vendors are paying a little bit on each by being part of this. It's good for everyone, right? So this is it's a race to do that. So this platform based solution model, we're just doing it through every part of it. um, Again, when we talk about certain products that are very specific to the transaction, are very different from the product that we're using over here, but the underlying technology is the same. So the data and information is all known and the same. So that way we can auto populate where needed based on data permissions from the consumer and from the agent. If the agent doesn't want us to do things, the agent can say, no, don't do that for my client. And other agents want that as a service. Great, turn it on. Or they want certain ones like, yeah, we'll do that, but I also want my additional plumber added in there too that I know and trust, not just the 3 that are on the highly recommended list. So,
Awesome. That's amazing. So I know you said there's a race to do this now. When do you like how long into the future until you think this is mainstream?
12 to 18 months, you're gonna start seeing real product out there. It's already starting to happen, and it's just, a bit of a race. But it's everything. It's everything from smart homes. Like when we're in a transaction, we can geofence the home and look at their roof and say, this home, based on the data that we know, would benefit from solar, and it has 317 days of sun a year, and it's got the right angles, and we don't see any trees blocking it. Therefore, we're going to recommend this home be recommended to have solar for the following reasons, right? All that all that technology already exists, and the companies that we've integrated already can do all this stuff.
Awesome.
And so,
Well, what do you think about the future of real estate agents for marketing and lead gen?
well, like when we were talking, so when I talk about building a model where agents could be at 100%, it's almost like a free sales force. The margins are already so limited, anyways, right? It's a small margin. So it's not about that margin. It's really about client management and service and getting paid in different ways. So if you don't get paid in different ways, it's going to be hard to be able to keep an income level a certain place. So I'm figuring out, how do I not circle the drain like a lot of brokerages are doing? They're just not thinking forward thinking. They're just going to go down. You can already see the amount of consolidation in the industry. That's not going away. It's only going to increase. It really moved from a brokerage centric model to an agent centric model. Now it's a consumer centric model. And those that don't pivot into a consumer centric model are going to be left behind. and they're just going to fade away. They're going to be gobbled up. So a full platform-based model like I'm talking about is either going to be provided and then brokerages and agents tap into it, or they go and try to build their own, which is going to be they're way behind. They're way behind if they're starting today, just way behind.
Hmm.
So
Awesome. So you're building an ecosystem for your agents where they could get income streams in multiple ways, not just their commission, but they could tap into partnering with you on or investing in these ancillary businesses or creating income streams, I'm guessing through the whole platform, the whole home management and everything
correct,
like that.
correct.
That's awesome because, a lot of agents ride that commission roller coaster. They might not sell a house for a month or two and, they're waiting on their next closing. So this could create a more consistent income, which I feel
Yeah,
like
and
is neat.
doing it in a way because you have to be careful too because you don't want to cross over where you're a licensed realtor, but you're not don't have a construction license or you don't have this license or that license. So we're also doing it where licensed tradespeople are doing the work and the recommendations, and we're getting 3 recommendations, and we're putting disclosures inserted in the right places to protect both the agent and everybody. Because again, the vendors, everyone is going to make mistakes, right? There's going to be mistakes. So it's trying to make sure the disclosure and trying to protect everybody as much as possible, but doing a really smart way, right? That's what the consumer wants. And if you look at the way it was a brokerage model and then it was an agent model, and now the brokerages have to monetize not just on real estate commissions, but now they have to be in mortgage and they have to make money from this and that. It's the same thing. An agent needs to make money from other pieces in order to make a sizable living to be able to sustain because I believe there'll be commission compression on the agent side. It's why would we think that it wouldn't follow the same course that happened on the brokerage side? So we're making those strategic bets and therefore making sure that based on those bets that we're figuring out other ways for an agent to participate in an economically in client retention and client management and then getting the sale on the backside because people aren't selling every 4 or 5 years anymore. It's 7 to 10 years, and that's a longer life cycle to maintain a client relationship. So we are maintaining the relationship even for that 7 to 10 years, but we're also bringing in other ways to make money in the interim and how to build the ability to build outward to bring in more revenue by referrals of other clients.
Definitely. I love it all. Before I want to talk a little bit health, but before I move to that, is there anything else you want to mention about KW advisors or AI or the future of real estate or anything like?
People should be careful about just generally using AI. I specifically built AI inside that can be trusted because we put all the data and information in for the resources. So when we have a predictive response that would mirror that of what we would want back. When they don't use a closed system AI resource like a chat GPT, uh, you're gonna get wrong information and you're gonna get stuff that may not be relevant to your brokerage or your relationship or whatever, and is very risky. And then agents are using AI, in my opinion, incorrectly. That can be very risky for them. One, they're using AI on properties, so they're not really representing the actual home. It might not be the true image. They're altering the images. They're using sound and sounds that they don't have license to and things like that. So they have to be really careful. We are businesses and you do have licenses. I mean, agents typically know that like can't take a photo and put it on your website from say Getty Images, but you'd be surprised how many lawsuits come because they still just do it and they don't think about the ramifications of copyright infringements. But what about using AI and the writing of AI? And whether it's pictures, writing, images, copywritten, at the end of the day, agents are responsible for their property descriptions being accurate, and I think that I love AI, and I think there's great tools, and I think that people need to get trained on how to use it correctly and be aware of the shortcomings of it currently.
Definitely. Good advice. So cool. So this is the Health and Real Estate Podcast. I'm very passionate about health, and I'm sure you're well aware the real estate industry is not the most health conducive. There's here in LA, I'm sure you could find a happy hour every day of the week, with alcohol, donuts, bagels, all that stuff. So
Sure.
do you have any kind of health tips for a real estate agent, how they could, just some simple health habits just to maintain your health? Because it's also a very emotional and mentally challenging and draining industry as well.
If you pick the top 10% of all agents out there, their schedule and discipline is very scarily similar. Number 1, they wake up in the morning and most of their routine by 9 or 10 o'clock, it's very regimented and scheduled, and working out in the morning because in real estate, people wanna see property at 6 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock at night and things like that, and your schedule can't be predicted as well. I think that almost all top realtors have a very strong set morning schedule. The morning is the critical thing. If you just focus on the first 5 waking hours of every morning, it will dramatically increase your ability to do real estate. It's about it's about your mental state. It's about so you should know what your day is gonna look like before you start your day. Your day should be set from the night before. And I believe in waking up and having a very regimented routine of the gym, food, reading, whatever that might be. And if you do all those things before looking at email, you're going to be better off.
Yeah, I
And
couldn't agree more. If you conquer your morning, you conquer your day. Anytime I have a chaotic morning, the rest of my day is chaotic. And in real estate, usually those early mornings are some of the most peaceful, quiet, moments that you have to yourself where you can center yourself, work on reading, visualization, your goals, exercising, and all that. So I love that tip.
yeah, and I do another thing that I've really started to do that I think is helpful is I measure the number of sunrises and sunsets a year, and I set a goal of 60 sunrise and sunsets, and then every time I see one, I mark it down. So by the end of the year, it makes me stop to think, breathe, reflect, and do that. And then if you can do that while maybe taking it and journaling and making sure like, you know, there's such burnout in this career. And in order to do it long term, you got to have a big why and you got to be clear about why you're doing it because it can come with a lot of family sacrifices, soccer games, miss dinners out with your friends, something you've been planned and someone's got to see a house they want to write an offer tonight. And it could be $50,000 at stake for you. You make those decisions because of the amount of money attached and the infrequency of deals sometimes in our high-end marketplace. And so you've got to balance that with stability in other places.
Yes. The sun I love it's something about a nice sunrise or sunset is so therapeutic, especially at the beach. I love sunsets at the beach. Yeah, with the sound of the waves, that's therapy right there.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and I was impressed with you for when we had the red day 3, 4 years back, the KW Santa Monica office when we did the beach cleanup and we had the ice
It's,
bath. Remember the ice
yeah,
bucket? You
I do.
I Everyone was, secretly making bets like, how long is he going to go in for? Yeah. You got right in and you stayed in for like 3, 4 minutes, unfazed, got out like nothing.
Yeah. Well, it's mind over matter. I mean,
I definitely.
I take a 5-minute cold shower. It's good for health. You know,
Yes,
like to get really hot, work out really hard, and then take a cold shower. It's amazing how you get mental clarity from that.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, awesome. This has been a blast. I appreciate it. That's a wrap.
Okay, take care.